This is Paw Print, an animal rescue community, episode 99. I'm Harold Ree, and today Nancy's going to be talking about her adventure helping out a Wings of Rescue flight to send 39 dogs from Northern California to Idaho. So we'll be hearing her story from that. Wings of Rescue, we interviewed them in episode 54, Mr. Rick Browde. Wonderful episode. She'll also mention Dr. Peter Rork of Dog is My Co-Pilot, who was our guest on episode 50. Before we get to Nancy, just want to talk about something that I'm doing. Later today, I'm going to be going to a 4-hour volunteer training at our local animal shelter. The reason why is our local shelter, as most sort of county and city shelters are, very overcrowded. I think over 400 animals. And while they do have an Instagram page, and they do actually put out some really great photos of some of the animals, as you might imagine, 400 animals, you just simply can't do it as one person. So I'm going to go to a volunteer training, and who knows, maybe I can start photographing some of these deserving dogs and cats and other animals. So, of course, over the past 90-odd episodes, we've actually interviewed a lot of photographers, so I actually reached out to all of them. Rebecca Nemeth, who was our first photographer, episode 15. Barbara Brady-Smith for both episodes 29 and 30. Thomas English, episode 55. Sophie Gaumond, episode 74. And Adam Goldberg of episode 76. Reached out to all of them to try to figure out, hey, what can I do? And at this point, just going real low budget. So here's some tips that I'll pass on to you. Hopefully this is helpful to you. If you don't have an amazing camera, or maybe you just have an old beat up camera. So I'll tell you what I have. My brother Howard, many, many years ago, sort of did a permanent loan. He just kind of lent it to me and I never gave it back to him. But it's an old Canon Rebel XTI, which is old. I mean, it's 10 years old. Since then, there's probably been way more advances as far as technology and just capabilities go. But guess what? I mean, for what I need, I don't need to spend $500, $700,000 on a brand new camera. It's just not necessary. So read up on the Canon XTI and just realized a lot of people, even nowadays, still use their old Canon Rebel XTIs for some great photographs. So all I realized was I needed to upgrade the lens. So I had this, the what they call the kit lens, right? The zoom lens that comes with the camera. Usually if you buy it at, Walmart or Costco or wherever you purchase your cameras. And I basically replaced it with a 50 millimeter lens, which was one of the things that Rebecca Nemeth mentioned to me. So replaced it with a 50 millimeter lens. What's great about that is that it just has a greater, as they call it, aperture, right? Which allows more light in and allows you to take better photographs. And so did that. And as far as lighting goes, of course, ideally, I'd be taking the dogs out to outdoors where you can use the natural sunlight or the natural light. But in case we have to go indoors, I created my own really cheap, low-cost studio using shop lights, right? Those little clamp lights that kind of look like a metal bowl that you stick a light bulb in. So I bought 6 of those at the local big box store. Bought 6 of those, purchased 6 LED light bulbs, what they call 100-watt equivalent, since they don't really work in watts anymore, the 100-watt equivalent. So really bright. And I bought the daylight version because it has a really nice white light. I didn't want what I don't like. I don't like that yellow light that a lot of light bulbs cast. So I bought the daylight 100-watt equivalent LED bulbs. And so now I have 6 really bright lights. And in order to cut down on the glare, for diffusion, to sort of soften the glow of these bright bulbs, I used baking parchment paper, right? If you just go to the tinfoil and the saran wrap section of your grocery store, you can find cooking parchment. So that's what I did. I just cut off a couple squares and just using a binder clip, just clip them to the lights. And with a couple of folding chairs and some extension cords, voila, I have a portable and low-cost lighting studio. So with that said, I mean, that's really all you need is find, borrow, don't steal, but borrow a friend's digital SLR camera, single lens reflex camera, and get a decent lens, which doesn't cost too much. I think the lens was the most expensive thing I purchased, which it was about $125 retail. You can also buy a Chinese knockoff, which is about half the price, which also gets very, very good reviews if you wanted to save a little bit of money there. And then I bought the lights, found the extension cords, and we had the folding chairs. And so there you have it. Now I have, for less than, I think, $200, I have a setup that I can use. So the final thing is technique. And what I found helpful was what Adam Goldberg of episode 76 recommended to me, which was check out some of Seth Casteel's YouTube videos on how to photograph. So before he became super famous with his calendars and books about dogs underwater and flying dogs, I mean, he's got some really cool photographs. Seth Casteel, before he really made it big, just made some really great instructional videos on how to photograph dogs and cats at an animal shelter. I found them to be super informative and very, very helpful right away. I could use about 4 or 5 of his tips immediately and just start practicing on our own dogs. In case you want to learn a little bit more, I'll put a lot of this information on our show notes at thisispawprint.com/99. Now here's Nancy talking about her experience with Wings of Rescue.
This past week, I got an email from the Idaho Humane Society asking if we would like to transport any dogs to Idaho. It was very last minute. The situation was that they had a flight to transport all the dogs. However, another shelter that they were working with declined, and they were in a pinch and they needed dogs to transport. In the end, we transported 14 dogs. Now, out-of-state transports are more complicated than in-state transfers. There's a lot of health requirements. And in order to conduct those health requirements, it could be vaccinations. They need rabies vaccinations, distemper, bordetella. Distemper and bordetella are usually given when when a dog comes into the shelter. However, they also need rabies vaccination. They need to conduct a health exam. Also, carriers require a heartworm test. It requires a lot more work than just transferring a dog. We need to make sure that the dogs are temperament tested, make sure because they're going out of state. If there's a problem, it would be almost impossible to return the dog. So there is just a lot of work involved. So I wasn't sure that it would be possible, but in the end, we pulled it off. However, initially we had a carrier called Dog is My Co-Pilot, and they are a wonderful, wonderful organization. They offer free flights. So they do not charge the source shelter, which is where the dogs are coming from, nor the destination shelter where the dogs are going to. So this was free of charge, and it was a wonderful opportunity. However, the flight was scheduled for Saturday morning. On Friday, I found out that the flight was canceled.
Total bummer.
Because the pilot lives in Wyoming. He flies out of Montana, and they were fogged down or snowed in. And the forecast was looking bleak for the rest of the week. So we could not allow 14 dogs to sit at the shelter. Chances of them getting adopted was, I don't know, maybe there were a lot of Chihuahuas, a lot of tan Chihuahuas, a couple of pit bulls. Their chances of adopting were not high, maybe 30%. So we really looked for another mode of transportation or carrier. And luckily, Wings of Rescue came through for us.
Yay.
And so we were just only delayed by 1 day. And I got to see dogs being loaded on an airplane and being transported out of state for the first time.
Who were the two organizations who sent?
So it was the Contra
dogs?
Costa Animal Services, which is my organization, and also the Front Street Shelter in Sacramento, California. They actually transported 25 dogs.
So 25 plus 14 from your organization, so 39 total.
Yes, 39 dogs were flown to Idaho, and Dog is my co-pilot. They were very gracious. They posted on their Facebook page that thanking Wings of Rescue for stepping in and to confirm that the dogs had arrived safely in Boise. And a photographer named René Kaiser-Riley, she posted pictures of the unloading on the Boise side, and she posted it on her Facebook page, Summer Mae Photography. That's Mae spelled M-A-E Photography. She couldn't take a lot of pictures because it was cold there, and the priority was to unload the dogs and take them to inside to keep them warm.
I mean, it was really cold in Idaho, right? When they landed?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. So, but it was nice of her to, post those pictures so we could be assured that the dogs arrived safely.
So overall, would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely. We're hoping that this becomes a regular transfer, even bi-monthly, because in California, we have an influx of tan chihuahuas and pit bulls. There's no shelter or no rescue organization in the country that will accept an unlimited amount of pit bulls. That's just the sad reality. But they did take some pit bulls, so that was nice. There are parts of the country where they especially need small dogs, and there's a long waiting list of adopters who are looking for small dogs. So it's just a win-win for everyone concerned.
Thanks for listening, folks. We're super excited to bring you our next episode 100. We have a really cool guest lined up for that. If you want to learn more about today's episode, whether it's the photography or Wings of Rescue, Dog is my co-pilot, go to our show notes at thisispawprint.com/99. If you want to meet me or Nancy on social media, maybe check out some of my photographic experiments, my amateur photography, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Look for This Is Paw Print, all one word. If you want to listen to more episodes of Paw Print, you can find us on your favorite podcast app like iTunes, SoundCloud, or Podcast Addict. Search for Paw Print Animal Rescue and click on subscribe to get the latest episodes immediately. Please join us for our episode 100 the next time you hear from us. We want to say thanks to all of you, our listeners out there, for sharing Paw Print with your friends and family. And remember, you spread a positive message of love and peace by saving an animal. Have a great day, and see you next time on Paw Print.
Paw Print is a production of EVER Education.
You can't handle the truth.